Welcome back to our next episode of Uncivil Discourse, hosted by Lee,
Hi, everybody.
myself, and our guest commentator this year, Laura.
Hi.
Brett, week 1 is over, and tradition follows news at 11 or 10, or whenever I happen to get the show out.
Or whenever you happen to watch it.
Yeah, or when you people all decide to watch it. It was a great week. A lot of fun was had. My opponent, Chris, we had a blast. I didn't see anybody who didn't have a good time.
Well, you didn't see me have a good time.
Yeah, but I got lots of text messages saying you were doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have only a single game that had to be rescheduled this week, which is awesome, as opposed to some previous seasons where we've had to have 2 or 3 in a single week that had to be replayed. Makes everybody's life a whole lot easier if people can get to the den on game day.
Yeah, I'm aware of more that are coming up, but not as many as we have in previous seasons, so it should be good.
Really? I unfortunately was the game that was rescheduled, so I didn't get to see a lot at the den ever last Sunday, so.
Funny thing about the den, it's at the same spot every week.
Well, I know.
You were missed. Brett had to work.
Gee, that's such a bummer.
I do good work.
You were.
Well,
We'll give you that much.
the league still's in season 4, so
Gotta be doing something right.
something right.
This week's special announcements. I brought it up to the players before. I'll bring it up again. Please fill out your score sheets completely. Every blank spot on that needs to be filled out with something. 1. Mechs. Put your mechs in whether they've been destroyed or not. Fill out those 4 slots so we know what mechs are in your stable. Make sure that you fill in your team names. We have a bunch of Chris's and a bunch of Todd's. I can't guess what your Lance is. I don't know everybody. There's 32 teams. I don't know everyone. Neither does Laura, neither does Brett.
He barely knows his own team.
Exactly. Don't worry, the admin had a rough time with week 1 making sure we had those things filled out correctly as well. I looked at them, Brett and I missed stuff too. But don't be the guy who filled out their team name as FOLKS. It's a great way to get a no score as your sheet wasn't filled out correctly.
All right, that takes us into skill spends for this week. The Wendigos Night Stalkers, Xanathos, is engineering a turret onto it. It goes 353, and it picks up a pair of plasma rifles to replace its big guns.
Laser Force upgraded their Wraith. They took Clan Salvage on their large pulse laser.
Thumper's Revenge got that 55% armor longbow upgraded. It now has 4 LRM-15s to be able to throw some specialty ammo on.
All right, I'm going to rapid fire here a couple of them. We've got Blackwake, Collection Agency Lights Out, Neutral Reavers, and Scars Outlaws, Ward's War Wolves, and the Ghost Legion, all in the penalty box because they're either running clan stables this year or a C3 network. No skill points on week 1 for any of those.
Blitzkrieg Jezebels, her Hatamoto, took Underworld contacts for double heatsinks.
Odin's Chosen, their Warhammer, engineered up some double heat sinks in case 2 so they can throw some alpha strikes.
That takes us into the Wolfpack. The Phoenix Hawk also picks up a clan salvage for its large pulse laser.
Copycat. I did that last year.
Or the year before.
Everybody does it. Everybody does that to the 3PL. Same thing with the Wraith.
You and Gary and everybody else who's ever run it.
Yeah. Warthog's Revenge takes a chassis upgrade for the Marauder 3R to a Marauder 5T.
Paxton's Pathfinders, their Cyclops, well, he jammed up his rock game 1, so he took Jam It, 2-point skill, to try to help offset that bad happenings.
Clan Cobra Chicken chassis upgrades its Cicada into a Wraith TR1.
House Psychotic Weasel takes chassis upgrade on its Scorpion to become a Buccaneer 3R.
The first Alliance Grenadiers, their Fafnir, picks up Case 2 and Anticipation.
The Lyran Rangers banked this week. Whether that was intentional or not, we're not entirely sure. But we didn't hear from you, so your points get banked.
Hank's Handies also takes chassis upgrade. Takes the fire starter to a Wolverine 7K.
Aw, I wanted to see what that fire starter could do.
Not much.
The Red Suns Irregulars, its standard Marauder 2 upgrades to a trio of snub-nosed PPCs.
The Ice Creamer, Zeus, uses engineering for 2 snub-nosed PPCs and an MML9.
Elk Riders also bank their skill points. Was it completely by accident, or is it a guild strategic move?
Dun dun dun.
Dead Man's Hand, its avatar, alternate configurations to the H variant with 2 heavy PPCs, and instead of the 2 MML3s, the admin swapped it into 2 Streak SRM4s.
The 4th Taurian Protectorate, their awesome picks up favorite weapon, PPC.
What a surprise! You guys are going to leave me hanging on that? Jesus Christ. That was horrible. Just dead silence. It was... Every awesome takes favorite weapon PPC.
Except for the 9M, which takes ER PPC.
Oh, piss off. You know what I mean.
Awesome and favorite weapon, hand in hand, best buddies.
It's an awesome skill.
Ugh,
Oh,
he had to.
I know he did, but that doesn't make it any less painful.
I know. Scions of Amaris, their Hunchback 4P takes Underworld Contacts, adds double heat sinks, ECM, and jump jets.
The SteelShod Shamble, they chassis upgraded the quick draw up into a Penetrator 4D.
That one was so cleverly worded. We can't read it on the air, folks, but you can definitely figure out what they thought of the quick draw.
yeah, we can't read that out loud.
League of Robots, Orion, reassigns into a... No, I think that one actually had a chassis upgrade. Either way, they switch out the Orion into a Blackhawk Coup Primate.
That is a interesting swap.
It's way more mobile. So if you're stuck, needing mobility, that's the way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Bariston's Rogues, his awesome, takes Underworld Contact to switch his single heat sinks to doubles.
Cat's Nightingale Cavalry, well, they're in the penalty box along with the Neon Grizzlies and Yogi's Jaegers. Once again, their skills don't allow them to have the tech points this week.
Their lack of skills? Their skill in choosing clan factions?
Exactly. Cheaping out. It's like those Draconis combined, guys.
Yeah, all one of me?
It just makes it obvious that I'm talking about you without me having to say I'm talking about you.
Pretty sure I was the all one of me on season 1 too. Oh no, Alex had it as well.
So, looking back at all these skill spends, for those who are not stuck in the penalty box, we actually have, not a surprise, 5 engineering skills. What did surprise me was the 6 replacement, the chassis upgrades. I don't think we've had that many in one skill spend before.
No, I think that's definitely an increase from other years.
With the Munchkins under control, that's going to take us into our match summaries from the first week of games. Game number 1, Odin's Chosen, faces off against Yogi's Jaegers in Arena 6, The Road in the Hills. The final score of this game was 2-1 for Clan Ghostbear Jaegers.
Game number 2. The Blitzkrieg Jezebels face off against Laser Force in Arena 7's Mountain Lakes. Final score, 1-0 for the new guy, Laser Force. The Hatamoto sponged all the damage until it finally gave up the ghost in turn 10.
Game number 3. Lyran Rangers up against Neutral Reavers in Arena 28, the Devil's Basin. Not only was this a 4-0 win for the Reavers, but the Rangers need 3 new pilots as 2 cockpits were removed and 1 pilot was turned to goo.
Gotta love all those pilot hits. Game number 4. League of Robots meet the Scions of Amaris in a rematch. In Arena 10, the Pavement Experience. Another 4-0 win, this time for the Scions.
Game number 5. Ward's Werewolves clash with the SteelShod Shamble. WWW versus SSS. The Radis River Valley Arena is littered with the dead mechs in this 4-3 Shamble win. Twice in this match we see dual kills. Round 17 had the Devastator and the Marauder both fall, and at the end the Dire Wolf dies to the Marauder 2, who happens to fall down, and caved in its own head. So not only did it get the kill, it died the same turn.
Leaving just the quick draw standing, because nobody shot at it all game.
Game number 6. Paxton's Pathfinders find the dead man's hand waiting for them in Arena 21, the Savannas. Everyone thinks the Cyclops isn't much. However, this rack-equipped machine pulls 2 kills, leading the Pathfinders to a 4-1 victory.
That's correct, isn't it, Lee?
You're absolutely right, but I have to say this for everybody. 4 seasons in a row, I have lost game 1. I have been in the B-side finals, I've been in the A-side semifinals, I've been playing in the B-side finals every season, or not finals, sorry, playoffs every season, yet I lose every first game. Everybody, be hopeful you play me game 1, year 5.
Game number 7. The first match of the First Alliance Grenadiers has them get real bloody in Arena 25, the Bloody Basin, with the Red Sons Irregulars. First win of the season goes to the Grenadiers, 4-2.
Our halfway mark game, game number 8, has the Warthog's Revenge facing off against the Ansgar's Outlaws in Arena 20, the Gravel Experience, and the Warthogs pull off a 2-1 victory.
Game number 9. Clan Cobra Chicken returns to face the Ghost Legion today. They match up in Arena 29, the Desert. The ghosts haunt the chickens as they reach a spectacular 4-1 victory.
No shots? No shots fired there?
I got nothing. Clan Cobra Chickens take a few games, sometimes an entire season, to find their footing. They've got a good lance, but we knew with the C3 that you have that he was going to struggle without having any DCM. Exactly kinda what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game, but it wasn't a surprise. I know John was happy to get the kill because he knew it was an uphill battle from the beginning.
Game number 10. Wendigo's Night Stalkers roll in on the 4th Taurian Protectorate. Arena 17, Rolling in the Hills, has this throwdown showdown. The Thug goes down early to a headshot from a heavy PPC, but they fight back to a 3-2 victory. Good job, Wendigos.
Yeah, it's always good to come back from a downed mech early to bring it back and take the win. Game number 11. Where else would you want to eat some ice cream but in the grasslands? The Ice Creamers have a picnic with the Neon Grizzlies in Area 22. This ends up in a lukewarm 2-2 tie. Not impressive, Aaron. You gotta get in there.
And there was no picnic basket. I'm so disappointed in the Grizzlies.
Game number 12. In the first rematch of the last season's, Hank's Handies puts the lights out in Arena 1, the Grasslands. Hank handily finishes with a 2-0 victory, doubling the score from last season when these two faced off. I'm not sure what an Atlas Sandwich is, but it involved a Banshee and some wailing.
Game number 13. Riston's Rogues go clan hunting in the River Basin Arena, while Cat's Cavalry are determined to ride to victory. This game sees the Rogues stab a 2-0 victory out of some clanners.
Game number 14. In Arena 14, the Desert Oasis has the collection agency showing up to collect on some bills. They hammer down on the Elk Riders, teaching them the ropes of how we do things here. with a 3-0 victory. Remember, people, pay your bills.
Game number 15. I have to read my own.
Give it up. We all have to do it.
I know. I don't have much to say about the game, and I was there to play it. It was a 0-0 tie. We danced around each other, we exchanged fire. I did stupid things like blow my mask. Learned my lesson not to run it not to run it two rounds in a row.
You're starting to take a risk at 2 rounds, but if a 5 or better, your odds are still in your favor, so that was just some bad luck.
Statistically speaking, 7 and plus is the average on 2d6.
Yeah,
so 5 is safe-ish.
Ish. Unless your dice decide to abandon you first game of the season.
You're preaching to the choir, sister.
I know.
Game number 16, our last match of week 1. The Black Wake has a case of the Psychotic Weasels. These teams march into Arena 23, the Cossack Valley, and march out to a 2-0 Wake victory.
This is the same example of where game 1 dice just failed. Psychotic Weasels ended up killing up one of their own mechs. I think it was the Albatross, fell down and killed itself after just nothing being able to hit.
With much popular acclaim, we will be returning this season with our player interviews. Our very first interview this year will be with Kale, Stable Master of the SteelShod Shamble.
Welcome back to another BattleBabes interview, first game of our season, and I have Kale with us. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for doing the interview and being willing to kind of put it off for later in the day.
Oh, no problem.
That's greatly appreciated, of course. I'm going to start with the easiest question. How did your game go today?
It was a marathon and a nail-biter. I played against Todd B. and his Ward's Warwolves, and we went 29 rounds of play, ended in 4-3 in my favor. In the very last round, I finally managed to core out the engine on his Direwolf, but in the same turn, he knocked my Marauder 2 over, and it had 15 turns earlier, it had taken a headshot from a large pulse laser, so it was sitting on 2 structure, and I fell over backwards and cracked my head and killed the pilot. So 4-3 and 29 rounds of play. It couldn't ask for more than that. It was a super fun game. Todd was an awesome opponent.
Wow, that just 29 rounds.
The blame for that is 100% on me. I played terrified of that Direwolf. I spent so much time trying to not be seen by that thing, and I think on any map where he didn't have to slog through the mud, we played on the river basin.
Okay.
With all that level 0 water, and on any map where he could have just come at me without it taking turns of plodding through the river, I think my goose was cooked.
Sometimes those maps can be not so fun to play on, but sometimes they can definitely be helpful.
It was really interesting for me because I wasn't much faster than him, but I did have jump jets, which he was missing on everything except for his huntsman and the elementals. So I did have a very marginal maneuverability advantage, and that map actually has an appreciable amount of 2-level drops where you can hug a wall right in the middle of the table.
Okay, so you could not hide, but you could be strategic about your placement of mechs for every other round or whatever.
I could pick really this or that firing angles, and he played pretty cautious, which I think was the right play. My lance only gets scarier the closer you are to it. But he sat back on a hill, and it meant that he kind of ended up coming at me piecemeal, and it let me, digest his elementals and his huntsman before he realized that he was going to have to come dig me out of the river and move up the Marauder and the Direwolf.
Gotcha. So even though it's your lance can be kind of scary, he was able to maneuver it and come out on top, I guess.
Yeah, I've definitely got some. I started playing BattleTech about 8 weeks ago.
I love that.
I come from a 40k background. Yeah, I come from a 40K background, and I've been good friends with Brett for a couple years here, and 40K has been feeling a little stale for a while, and Cal and I started playing some Alpha Strike on our usual 40K night, and Brett was patient enough to play a couple games of Alpha Strike with us, and then very eager to, oh, well, this is how it works in Alpha Strike, but if we were playing Classic, it kind of works like this, and my curiosity got the better of me, and I had so much fun in the demo game he did with me kind of start of June that I signed up for League almost immediately after that, got a couple more games in, and yeah, practice I guess paid off just enough, but only just.
That's awesome. I like to bug Lee because I dated a guy in university who I can remember showing up at his house like one of the first times, and he had these like little stupid figurines and then this sheet with this robot with dots on it. I'm like, that looks like the stupidest game ever, not ether, stupidest game ever. And so when Lee finally said, okay, well, let's try this game, and I've been hooked, and we've been together 16 years.
40K, it's like any other game that happens at the Ogre's Den, right? Everybody, throws elbows at each other. Battletech looks like it's a bunch of spreadsheets, and don't get me wrong, it's a bunch of spreadsheets, but it's so much fun. Like I haven't yet played a game where I didn't have an absolute blast.
Like in any game, whether it's like a sport or a tabletop game, there's always something that brings you back. It's like playing golf, and you're like, oh yeah, I suck at this, and then you have a real beautiful shot, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna come back. And there'll be a game where you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is the stupidest game ever. But then you'll have a nice shot, or you'll play a fun opponent.
For a game that's, it's a two-dimensional, there's no 3D terrain, there's a lot of spreadsheets and bookkeeping. It has incredibly memorable moments. Like we had, even just our game today, we had a turn where my Devastator and Todd's Marauder traded head caps in the same turn for a mutual kill. We had the photo finish where just as I finished off the Direwolf, I toppled over backwards and also mutually killed. Like, it was very, very... in amongst all the bookkeeping, it's incredibly cinematic. It's an incredibly cinematic game.
It is, and you can totally play on 3D terrain. Actually, Jeff won. We were at a tournament in Langley back in May, and he actually won a map with 3D terrain on it. So you can get some really cool stuff out there, buildings and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So you can, if you're into that kind of stuff, you can get some really cool things. I know some people, because most of us are used to just playing on a flat map, it can be a little difficult, and I don't know how it compares to 40K. Like, I don't know what the 40K maps are like, but the Battletech maps can be pretty distinctive and be very visually appealing. There's a lot of stuff on there. Well, right?
and honestly, even with the 2D, even with just the described heights on the flat map, the terrain is way more important in Battletech than it is in 40K. Because 40K, you're gonna have some buildings and stuff, but ultimately you're still playing on a level, like the board is flat. Whereas the elevation is so important in Battletech, and you're interacting with it on such a more involved level.
Well, and that's cool to know, because I've only, other than seeing the guys' stuff at the den or walking by a Warhammer store or whatever, it's kind of cool to hear this coming from someone who's literally only played for 6 weeks. I love to hear the enthusiasm, because there's some of us, like you talk about Brett or Lee, who've been playing for, let's say, their whole lives, because they're pretty much just babies.
You don't need to bring up any numbers or anything like that.
No, not at all. It keeps people interested for so long. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's such a... I mean, even just looking at the league maps, you could have the same two lances line up on 10 different maps and have 10 different outcomes because of that, and that's something 40K doesn't really give you.
Oh, that's really cool to know. I was never interested.
Yeah, no, it's really hard to see from only seeing one side of the fence, but it's the way the terrain works is very, very different, and Battletech, it's so much more in the forefront of your mind.
That's awesome. I know you were saying that Brett brought you in. He floods CBL with 40K players. It's, I don't know, it's his thing or something.
Well, he sees us every week, so he's got a lot of chances to get up on the soapbox.
Right? Yeah, Brett would never do that. I don't know what
No.
you're talking about.
Oh no, fully he did it with me, and I don't have any complaints about it. I've been I've just been absolutely thrilled with BattleTech this last few months.
That's awesome. So moving forward with your lands and looking at some of your next games, have you looked at any of your other opponents coming up?
I have. I've met Jay previously, and I know he's one of the top players. So I don't have high hopes next week, but I'm very much looking forward to the game. I'm sure it'll be a blast. I really want to see what that Xanthos does. Week 3 is I'm playing against Paul. Paul, who's playing Star. I think there's just the one Paul. And then week 4, week 4
he's
I'm
an
playing
oldie.
against Chris. Okay.
He's played like in the original league.
Okay. So that's another good learning opportunity. Week 4 I'm playing against Chris C, Paxton's Pathfinders.
Okay, cool.
Week 5 is, I believe, playing against Will and Yogi's Jaegers.
Will is such a great guy to play. The first game that he played, and I think it was one of his first games back at BattleTech after years out, we did the Grand Melee the first year that he played, and he came on first round. I head capped him. Came on again with another mech just to play, and I head capped him again. And then when we played just in regular league play, not playoffs, I had capped him again. I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's just the dice.
That's one of those things that it adds such a level of tension to the game is that and I don't have any head cappers in my lance yet. I have a plan for that.
I like that yet.
I have a plan. But right now it's just like every time someone lines up the Gauss rifle, you hold your breath a little bit because it's not a high chance. It's like 3%, but every time that thing connects, it could be the end of a mech. And that's what got my Wolverine. Is my Wolverine jumped out of cover, try and make some noise and draw fire for a turn, and the dire wolf just turned around and popped the head off it just like that. And well, that was that.
Right? You're like, oh,
not much you can say about it.
yeah. It's like, oh,
yep,
thanks.
You got me.
He was pristine, and now I have to bury him. Thank you.
Yeah, we're not going to have to repaint the rest of the mech, but boy, do we need a new cockpit.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Thank you for popping on, Kale. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise.
It'll be awesome to see you over the season, and hopefully, maybe not me. We'll give Brett the go. Hopefully they've created a lifetimer. Hopefully, like you said, it's just got so much intrigue and everything that you're gonna love the year, and then you'll be back next year.
Oh yeah, right now the honeymoon's going great, but I don't see it ending anytime soon.
No, and that's the thing is as much as the honeymoon is, and we have such a good group of people.
Oh yeah, everyone I've met so far has been fantastic.
Yeah, well, be careful of that Lee guy. He can kind of be a bit of a pain in the butt, but hey.
I'll keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kale, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Take care.
Well, thanks, Heather, for that interview with Kale. It was very interesting, and looking forward to seeing what you do for the rest of the season. This leads us into our Week 2 matches. Game number 1. We have the SteelShod Shambles representing the St. Ives with 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. They're up against the Wendigo Night Stalkers representing the Capellan Forces. 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. We have a new player up against a seasoned vet with the Wendigo Night Stalkers. I'm going to be real quick on this because we're early into the season. I'm going to go with the Wendigo's Night Stalkers because they have experience, and they're going to win by a 3-1.
All right, so I'm going to more or less agree with Lee here, but not for the same reasons. Of all of our new players, the SteelShod Shamble have gone out and they've gotten roughly 8 or 9 practice games in before the season started, so they're already halfway through a season trying to figure out how we do things. So I don't think that newness is going to hold them back too much. However, Jay's experience will definitely probably hold the day here. I am also going to anticipate a Wendigo Night Stalker victory, but it's going to be a 3-2.
hate agreeing with Brett. I know. Might as well get it out of the way early in the season. Agreeing with you. The Shambles have, like you said, the fun play games. But there's something about sitting in a group of people actually like making a serious game out of it to get your standings up. Jay has the experience. So
Timmy!
Timmy! Yeah, have to. But Wendigo's Night Stalkers, but I think he'll have to really work hard for it. 4-3.
Ooh. Game number 2. The Dead Man's Hand for the peripheries with a 0 win, 1 loss, 0 ties versus Yogi's Jaggers, Clan Wardens, 1 win, 0 ties, 0 losses. Oh, this is a little bit of a tougher one. I think I'm going to give Lee credit, and I think this is probably going to be a 2-1 victory for his part. Dead Man's Hands are going to walk away with this, but not in a oops, we just walked away, but they're going to be able to pull the win at the end.
Well, thanks for the lackluster confidence there, Brett.
I wanted you to win.
Yeah, I know. Lackluster, it's there. I'll win, but kinda. My favorite game last season actually was against Will. We had a blast. It was a city fight. Will did things I wasn't expecting. Dice got ugly. Back shots happened. Things got really, really tense. But we had a blast doing it. Totally fun between the two players, but the battle was really tight. I'm going to say, of course, Dead Man's Win. Dead Man's Win? Yeah, it's the Dead Man's Win. We win, occasionally. I think it's going to be a 3-2. So it's still going to be tight. I just think it's going to be more destructive. I am now able to field 5 heavy PPCs, so at least 2 should hit. In that sense, it's the clans. He's got a Daishi. It's not going to be pretty. I'm just a little bit more experienced in playing against the clans than his last opponent, so I think I'll be able to take it. I'm looking forward to our game, Will, as I do every season when we run into each other in the schedule.
Don't underestimate that Hellbringer either.
We'll see. I think it's his weakest mech of the 3. The Ryukin Prime is a absolutely amazing mech. Alpha Strike, run, no heat. For 2 large lasers, 3 ER mediums. It's just clean and damaging. It's a Daishi. You can't ignore it. Now, while the Hellbringer is a good mech, it is not the strongest of the 3.
No, it is absolutely the weak child coming into the playground. But that child is also carrying a gauze rifle, so
yeah.
Just ignore it.
Hey, you guys ignored my Jaeger mech. You guys told me 2 gauze rifles weren't impressive.
No, 2 gauze rifles is. A Jaeger is not.
I can't recall. Does his Hellbringer jump?
No.
So none of his mechs jump.
But it still goes 5'8".
Yeah, that's fine. We'll play on pavement. He'll be all over the ground.
Well, I can't vote against Lee 2 weeks in a row.
Well, you were right 2 last
You were
game.
right
I
last
think you only got right. So if you think I'm going to lose, please say it.
I don't think you're going to lose, though. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it'll be
She knows
close.
She knows it. No, I'm not playing her. There's no guarantees here.
I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. If they don't end up tying it 3-3, I think Lee will take it 4-3. That brings us to game number 3. The Neon Grizzlies, representing the clans with 0 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie, versus the Black Wake, representing Comstar with 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. I expected more from the Grizzlies last week.
Ooh,
Although-
that's either a shot at their opponent or a disappointment at the stable master.
I will let them try and figure it out. I'm going to go with the Neon Grizzlies this week. But 2-1.
Okay, so we have 2 players that are returning. Both are running new factions this year, so they may have a little bit of learning curve as clanners have to figure out how to make use of their elementals, and Comstar needs to make sure they learn how to get their networks going straight. I want to call this actually another tie game. I think it's going to be probably a 1-1 tie, though.
Neon Grizzlies did a good job pulling out a tie against Aaron. Aaron's a B-side champion, so he's used to being in the upper echelons of at least the middle of the pack. No, B's a very honorable victory. The Neon Grizzlies did well to get a tie against Aaron. Aaron's a B-side champion. He knows how to win games. He knows to end up being the top of a division. So it was good to tie up. The Blackwake Comstar with a first round win. Well, he has a active network. So, and switching out into the mechs and the skills that he has, I think Comstar is going to be able to continue the winning streak. Blackwake's going to get their second win, and it's going to be a 3-2. Game number 4. Odin's Chosen, representing the Free Roslog Republic with 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties, up against the Scions of Amaris, representing the St. Ives, 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. Oh, the A-side champion won his first game? Color me surprised. I think the Scions of Amaris are going to win, as Odin's Chosen are new still. Right? They're going up against the A-side champion. They're going to have to play a fantastic game to beat him. I don't think they're quite ready yet. I think about week 4, we're going to start seeing these new players start really dominating some of their games as they figure out how to do league play. And I think the Sons of Amaris, or Scions, sorry, of Amaris, are going to win 4-2.
I mostly agree with you. I think it's going to be a Scions of Amaris with a 4-1 victory, though.
Unfortunately, I agree with both of them. But for some reason, I don't think he's going to quite get 4 kills. I think it'll actually be 3-1.
Game number 5, the 4th Taurian Protectorate, representing the Periphery, with 0 wins, 1 loss, and 0 ties, versus Thumper's Revenge, the Capellans, 0 wins, 0 losses, 1 tie. This could be an interesting match. Thumpers has their mechs kind of sorted out now. I think they need another game or 2 to get some skill points in to get it really where she wants it. But it has the potential. And I don't know too much about the 4th Taurian Protectorate because I haven't paid that much attention yet. I think this is probably going to be a 2-1 Thumpers victory.
So I agree, the Thumpers now have their mechs designed the way they need them. I don't think they have to change anything else.
More missiles.
They don't need more missiles, they've got lots.
They now have more missiles.
Yes, they got 90 missiles coming out of 2 mechs. They're going to be doing okay. It's more now learning her playstyle and grabbing the skills that are going to make the playstyle function. And then clock watching, making sure that she gets in the turns that she needs. It's going to be Thumper's Revenge because I think the experience of knowing how to play and a little bit of confidence getting back to the table, right? She bring rust. She didn't beat up her son like she was planning on it. I think it's going to be a 2-1 as well.
I tried to beat up on him. My dice just didn't agree with me. but except for a couple little adjustments, my lance is pretty much good to go. And, well, it's just bad luck to vote against yourself. But I think I'm gonna kill more than 2. Give me a little bit more credit.
You didn't kill 1 last game, so I thought 2 was safe.
I didn't lose any either. I think it'll be a 3-2.
So you got a 1-point non-victory.
Still a victory.
Yeah,
So points on the board.
That
She
was
scored
my
points on the board, but you didn't.
Yeah, for 2 seasons, that was my argument. A win is a win, points are points. That is correct.
On to game number 6. Ghost Legion. Draconis Combine. 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. Going up against Cat's Cavalry. Warden Clan. 0 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie. Both these lances are strong. I haven't really looked into what each of their mechs are completely capable of.
Mass
But
destruction.
right, mass destruction. Well, I suppose it would be a fluke of the dice at a 4-4 win. Tie for both of them.
4-4.
4-4
not-
win. It's a win
No,
for both players.
It's a win for
Everything
both of
bad.
them.
Hey, just showing up to play is a win.
But seriously, these guys, I'm going with the Draconis Combine Ghost Legion. And it's going to be super close. And 4-3.
I think the Cats Nightingale Cavalry is going to be Brett's first challenge. And it's because the fast mechs the fast mech of the cavalry, that Ice Ferret, is carrying an ECM. I was just having a quick look at it. You didn't have to face that with John. As long as Matt does good bouncing around with that, I think the clan accuracy is going to make your 3 rushers pay. And then you've got the elementals on that Ice Ferret being dropped to make your gunslinger really nervous because they like to do leg attacks and your legs are like glass. I'm going to say Cat's Cavalry is going to win this one. Not because I have against your Lance. I think you got a great one, Brett. But he's got the tech. Closing up against ATMs, I don't think that's going to work out so well. I'm going to say it's going to be Cat's Cavalry, and it's going to be a 4-3. It is going to be tight, but I think they're going to win it.
Okay. Those are all fair assessments. I am absolutely going to be going hard into this one. I will never hear the end of it if Matt beats me on game 2 of the season. So I'm going to beat him instead. Matt is running a modified Ice Ferret C that swapped out its missiles for ATMs and adding jump jets, so it's a really good transport for those elementals. Rifleman 2C4, so it's got a couple of ATM 9s and a pair of large pulses, and a Blood Asp E, so it's got like the pair of ERPPCs and a bunch of ATMs. He's got ATMs all over the places. So you're not wrong in he wants those to be shooting at short range instead of at long range for the 3 damage versus 1. And there's also elementals. I think this is going to be a 3-2 victory for me, and I think it's probably going to be the elementals that I have trouble trying to hunt down.
Yeah, it really all depends on what he does with them. Right? If he brings them over and takes them after your gunslinger, that might be the big difference, because when we kind of play tested this out, that gunslinger was my biggest worry. But against John, it was your 585 thug squad, right? Being in there, kicking and punching and making life hell for him. For me, it was the gunslinger. If the gunslinger's taken out and his 2 mechs can match your firepower or kind of blunt your thing with accurate pulse weapon fire and the ATMs making a couple of connections, I think you're going to really suffer. But you have all that punching and kicking going on, so those are all really difficult things to deal with. So it will depend upon what his ECM carrying mech can do. If he can mess up your network, then it's an up and up fight, and we'll see what happens. So it's going to be close. Like, we've all called a really close game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for you guys, because I know Matt's a great guy to play against. Game number 7. Blitzkrieg Jezebels. Free Roslog Republic with 0 wins, 1 loss, and 0 ties. They're up against Lights Out, another Comstar Lance with a 2-mech active system. 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. I've voted against Heather in the past, and I've been right sometimes, wrong sometimes. She's got a good lance. She's got to really get control of her placement and make sure her mechs are placed in the right spot so she's not making life harder for herself. Lights Out, I still don't know his plan. I don't think he knows his plan, really. But he said he has a plan, remember? Last game, Paul has a plan.
It's written in crayon on the back of a bar napkin, but he has a plan.
What is the plan? Right now, I don't see it. I think Heather's lance is better built together. Her biggest complaint was that her Hatamoto kept overheating. Well, she's doubled the heat sinks. She doesn't have to worry about that anymore. She's got a lot of accuracy with those 4 medium pulse lasers and a pair of PPCs that, once you're within punching and kicking range, she doesn't have to fire the PPC. She's got 4 medium pulse lasers and a pair of punches or a kick. I'm going to say the Blitzkrieg Jezebels are going to win it. It is going to be a 3-2, and it's going to be a faster game for Heather, so I think she'll step up a little bit against Paul, and the game will play out really well.
So Lee did it all of episode 1. I'm going to steal his thunder and also go for Blitzkrieg Jezebel's hard 3-2 win.
Third time's a charm. I think Heather's gonna take it. I don't think it's gonna be that high though. I actually think it might just be 2-1.
This will lead us into game number 8. Riston's Rogues, representing the St. Ives, with a 1 win, 0 loss, 0 tie, versus the Ice Creamers, a mercenary unit with 0 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie. So these are both very skilled players. They're both capable of being division champions, and the Ice Creamers are great. They are going to fall flat. The ice cream is going to fall off the cone onto the floor, and Riston's Rogues is going to just kick it into the dirt. I do think this will probably end up being a higher scoring game, though. Probably a 4-2 Rogues victory.
I've spoken to both these players in the off-season and upcoming into this season. I think Riston's Rogues take their foot off the pedal a little bit. I don't think they're coming in as hard and ready to play and wanting to stomp people. I think they're taking a little bit more casual this year. Not because they're not capable, not because they're not enjoying the game. I just don't think they're as concerned about winning this year as they were last year or the years before. Ice Creamers, Aaron really wants A-side. He wants to win an A-side championship, so he's got both B and A.
You know he's actually claimed he's going after C-side this year, right?
Yeah, come on. Let's be honest. That's not a goal. Not for the guys not for Aaron. He might say that, but no, he's not going to do that. He's going for A. And Riston's Rogues taking a little bit off the gas doesn't mean he's not dangerous, right? I'm not even sure he was trying to win against Matt, and he still pulled out a 2-0 win. So I'm going to say the Ice Creamers are going to put the first dent in Riston's Rogues' armor this year. It's going to be a Ice Creamers victory, and I think it's going to be a 3-2 because they're going to take it kind of tentative at first, and then he's going to jump in, and it's going to be a whole bunch of firepower at the end.
Aaron does absolutely want to win this, and he's going to come and try and just attempt to steamroll all his players. Like, he's not going to give any leeway, which surprises me that he didn't end up winning his last match. I'm going to vote Aaron, Ice Creamers, with no other reason than he just wants it that bad. But I think it's going to be 4-3. Game number 9. The Elk Riders, running with Mercenaries, 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties, going up against Ward's Warwolves, running Crusader clans with 0 wins, 1 loss, and 0 ties. Well, both lances coming off of a loss in game 1 means somebody has to win this round. I think Todd's going to go with, he's got a little bit more experience being a returning player for 3rd year. I'm going to go with him, but it's going to be a low score game. I think he's 1-0 win.
I think the combination of returning for his 3rd season and having the clan forces to just be able to march forward and lay down fire is going to lead to a Warwolves victory. I'm going to call this probably a 2-0 though.
So Todd had a couple of really positive things he could pull from his loss last game. First off, they got 24 rounds in. Todd also has a couple of positive things. He's got clan tech, like you said. He's got 3 years experience, as well as the Elk Riders. And I said this games earlier, the new players have some learning curve to catch up on. So I think the Warwolves are going to win. They're going to lose 1 mech, so it is going to be a 3-1, because I think the clanners are going to thump hard when they do hit, and it's going to make the mercenaries real. Game number 10. We have the Laser Force Capellans with 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties, up against the League of Robots, St. Ives. 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. Well, this is a reversal of scoring. I would have said the League of Robots would have been first with a win, and Laser Force would have been at a loss. Not because Laser Force doesn't have a good lance. It's that learning curve I was talking about earlier. But the League of Robots faced the Scions of Amaris, and they're the A-side champs. Laser Force had a great game, but now he's up against a challenge because League of Robots are at least a upper B, mid-pack A team. I am going to say League of Robots are going to right the ship. They're going to get a win. It's going to be a 4-2 win for them, because I think he wants to show that he can thump on people even after losing to Amaris.
I think League of Robots is going to struggle for the first couple of games to get a handle on their league lance. Last year, they had a very straightforward, this is what my battle plan is, these are what my units do, this is what I need to do to win my games. In his first game, he kind of came out and he got stomped by Jeff, and then he turned around and he replaced one of his mechs. So I think that's probably going to be a big benefit for him, but I don't know if that was the plan all along, or if it's reactionary spending of skills. I do believe that the Black Hawk Coup is vastly superior to the Orion in his unit, so I'm still going to give it to Laser Force, but it's going to be a 3-2 really close game with somebody dying near the last turn of the game to flip it over. Probably be a tie game most of the day.
I've said it last season, I kind of like cheering for the underdog. Unfortunately, coming out of their first game, that happens to be Jared.
Ooh, ouch.
Ex-roommate, shots were fired, it's okay.
Yeah, he still loves me, and he'll probably kick my butt and my little bunny butts if we face each other at the table, because he did that last year too. But I'm going to go with the League of Robots, and I think it'll be a 3-2.
Game number 11. House Psychotic Weasel for the Free Worlds League. 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. Up against Ansgar's Outlaws, Crusader Clan, running horseshoes up their butt most days out of the week. 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. This one, I think I'm going to go with the clans again. I think Ansgar's is going to pull it out. They're going to pop something's head off early on in the game, and then it's just going to be a uphill battle for the Weasels. I'm hoping that Chris can do something crazy and win this, but I am going to vote Ansgar's Outlaws with a 3-2 overall victory.
See, I so want to vote for Chris in this. Psychotic Weasel is got, once again, he does this every season, comes up with something I absolutely love. Great. He had a phenomenal team with his King Crab with the LB20X and the Ultra 20. Last season he had that Thunderhawk with the Gauss rifles linked into a C3I system. This year he's got a great team name with 2 100-tonners with a great weapons loadout. I think this is going to be all about map choice. Ansgar's Outlaw's got a great, solid team, but he got a lot of help from our A-side champion, I believe, in coaching and all that. I think it's going to rub off. I have to keep my promise. I can't vote for the Psychotic Weasel, so it's going to be the Ansgar's Outlaws, and it's going to be a 3-2. Not because I think it's going to be an early head cap. I think it's going to be a grinder right down to the wire.
Well, if you guys won't vote for Chris, I will.
Hooray!
I want to, but I promised.
You promised again, or it's a overlap? It's an.
It's forever until he tells me differently. The promise holds.
Whatever brings your accuracy volume down, I'm good with.
Right. No. How's Psychotic Weasel? On the simple girlish fact that I like the name. I like the color, I like the name. They're cute.
Weasels?
Weasels are cute.
Psycho Weasel. I'm thinking of like Hypno Frog from Futurama.
Yeah.
See, and I'm thinking more like Crazy Frog, but a weasel.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can see that too.
Oh my goodness. Well, there you go, Heather. You got some ideas for if he runs with that name next year for a logo.
Chris won't use the same name 2 years in a row.
Nah.
He's got a booklet with names already in it.
Yeah, he's got like a full page of possible Lance names for different stables, for different factions.
You know, that's not necessarily bad. Kind of wish I had thought of that. But he's been playing
the same
longer.
name every year.
I did not use it in first team.
Yeah, I think you maybe forgot that you were going to go with the theme and then went with... Well, you were still themed.
You're still bunnies.
You're killer bunnies, and then you've just been Thumper's Revenge since then.
Yeah, which apparently I was back in Stu's League too, which was funny because I don't remember. But House Psychotic Weasel, 2-1. Game number 12. The Collection Agency. Comstar, 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. Coming up against the Red Suns Irregulars, Mercenary, with 0 wins, 1 loss, and 0 tie. Little surprising that Gary lost. He's a strong player. Really tough last year.
I think he got Fafnir.
That would do it. That would do it. And he's the reigning B-side champion.
Uh-huh. So, again, surprising he lost. Don't do it again, Gary. Please win. Because I'm kind of voting for you. 3-2. Kinda? Kinda. Yeah, kinda. Gary's gonna win 3-2.
Gary, the Red Suns Irregulars, everybody has, if you've been listening to me for 3 seasons, has been one of my top favorite players in the league. The Hamiltons have superseded them this season, mainly because I really like their attitude and the way they're coming in, and early on they've had some pretty good successes. But Gary's winning games. This is a small bump in the road. Collection Agency has been getting a lot of practice games in. They're ready to bring this in and play. It's going to be tight. I say it's 4-3, and I'm going to flip a coin. Only I still have currency. I'm going to go with the Red Suns Irregulars. Mercenary Unit's going to win it, and it's going to be 4-3.
All right. I'm also going to go with Red Suns Irregulars on this one, just because I think he's going to have a good game. I don't think that Cal's Comstar is going to be deficient in any way, but I think Gary's going to pull some shenanigans of some kind. I do think it's probably going to be a 3-1 Red Suns victory.
Game number 13, lucky number 13. We have the 1st Alliance Grenadiers, representing the Lyrans, with 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. With the Clan Cobra Chickens, Free Worlds League, 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. I'm looking at the 2 Lances. We've had a quick brief talk about them as well off camera. The biggest weak point I see in the Alliances is the Sentinel. It's the weakest one. The Penetrator has kind of gone for close range by only going with standard large lasers, but the Fafnir is vicious with those the two improved heavy gauze rifles. And that Rifleman, the 6X, the later Riflemen are actually really good solid machines. Clan Cobra Chickens have some good mechs. He's got range, right? Everything's really good range. His Wraith now has more accuracy. They completely outmaneuvers this Lance. If you look at his mechs, except for the stock. I'm gonna say John has to play cagey, keep that Fafnir out of the game, and his 3 mechs, all 3 of his 4 mechs, like just take any 3 of them, are equals, if not better, than the 3 remainers. That Fafnir is going to be a problem. If the Fafnir starts hitting with those improved heavy gauze rifles, that's going to be the downfall of the Cobra Chickens. John, I want to see you win this one. Get in there, play smart, play tough. I think Clan Cobra Chickens can pull it out with a 3-2 as long as you keep that Fafnir out of the fight.
So I'm going to vote Fafnir for a 3-2 victory.
1st Alliance Grenadiers. That Fafnir is going to be
the Fafnir is on the Grenadiers, and it's going to pull at least 2 kills, and he's going to get 3 in total.
I absolutely agree that Fafnir is completely dangerous. If John can't get rid of it right away, or I don't know, run it around keeping it distracted, it's not gonna go well. I unfortunately am going to say the 1st Alliance Grenadiers is gonna win, but I think John's gonna make it tough. I think it's actually gonna be a 3-2.
Game number 14, Warthog's Revenge, representing the Federated Suns, with 1 win, 0 losses, and 0 ties, versus Paxton's Pathfinders, also the Federated Suns, with 1 win, 0 losses, and 0 ties, coming off of a wonderful winning streak for Paxton's Pathfinders on Game 1. I think they might actually pull back-to-back wins here. In this little bit of Federated Suns Civil War action, I'm going to go with the Pathfinders with a 2-1 victory overall here. Warthog's Revenge definitely has a possibility of coming out strong and winning, but I think Pathfinders are going to get lucky.
This is a matchup of Fed Sun Lances. I'm looking at the 2 Lances here. The Warthog's Revenge has an Enforcer 3 with a completely, I didn't know this happened, an Ultra 20 585 Enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize this thing existed. It's got really good armor. It's got a massive gun with lots of ammo. So he's going to be able to pull the trigger and not worry about the target number. The only thing he's got to worry about is jamming that poor bugger. He's got everybody's favorite Thunderbolt, the 9 NAIS, with the Rack 5 and more firepower than the Cyclops is putting out, and more accurate because of the targeting computer. A Marauder 5T, good mech, and I believe it's also got a targeting computer. And then finally a upgraded Thug with a pair of PPCs, 2 SRM6s with case and lots of heat sinks. I just couldn't put the Paxton Pathfinders mechs down. I bumped the crap out of them, couldn't put them down. I actually think this Warthog's Revenge is going to take the win, mainly because he's got very similar mechs, and he's got that wild card of the Enforcer 3. If it doesn't jump and runs for 8 into a side arc or a rear arc with that Ultra 20, mechs are just going to vaporize. So I am, even the 3PL, I don't think it's going to be able to move fast enough to stop that Thunderbolt from tagging it. He played well. Chris has learned a lot in the past 4 seasons, but I think Warthog's Revenge is going to continue winning, and they're going to win with a 3-2.
So both these teams are strong. They're both, well, returning players. I don't know. Both coming off of a win. I think Paxton's Pathfinders, I think they're going to have another win. But I think I'm going to agree with Lee. It's going to be Paxton's with a 3-2 victory.
But Lee called for the other guy.
Lee can only be half right half the time.
So even when he's right, he's only half right?
So I'm accurate 25% of the time. Yeah.
Well, I do mark your predictions. And I'm
I
tracking
didn't do
them
well
again.
last week. I did not do well last week. I know I didn't.
No, you didn't. Game number 15. Neutro Reavers with the Crusader clans, 1 win, 0 loss, 0 dies. Going up against the Wolf Pack, Fed Sons with 0 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie. Alex and I had a tough game. We should have had Mex dead. He put a lot of firepower. I saw a lot of 5-point clusters of whatever he threw at me. I'm going to give him the win, not because he's my kid, but because he started off as a strong player this year. That was fought hard. 3-1.
There is not a chance, unless JP's dice vacate the building, that he's losing to Alex this Sunday.
All Alex has got to do is head cap that Tomahawk on round like 3 or 4.
You know what? Absolutely. If he head caps it, the game's going to change. However, yeah, it's a 3% chance. All JP has to do is stand there, and he's got a better chance of winning. So it's going to be the Neutral Reavers, and it's going to be a 4-1 victory because he's going to pick Alex apart. And it doesn't matter that Alex is a good player. Neutral Reavers for the win. Neutral Reavers for championship this year. Everybody put money down on it. It's a fair bet.
So I think the Reavers are going to go probably overall champions this year. However, Alex is actually looking forward to this one. He's got a plan. And how do Inner Sphere players deal with clan players when they don't get the lead on Plasma? They rush in and they play the I have more points of armor than you can throw damage per turn. And he just hopes for the best. I still think it's going to be a Neutral Reavers win, but I think it's going to be 4-2.
Game number 16. Hank's Handies with the Fed Sons, 1 win, 0 losses, 0 ties. And I have just now noticed that the Fed Sons at this moment are undefeated, though we do have two Fed Sons players playing. So unless they tie, they're still going to be, somebody's going to lose. Up against the Lyran Rangers, so we got a little bit of a Fed Com battle going on here. 0 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. Darren last season was our Cocaine Bear Destructo clanners who just ran people over with that big mech. Now he's using the Fed Sons a little bit more of a tempo team, Lyran's Rangers are playing heavily into the heavy gauze rifles because they have one on a champion, which was a big surprise. I think this game is going to be Hank's Handy's continuation of the Fedson's winning ways. It's going to be a 3-2, which could be reversed if those guns of the Lyran Rangers can actually make some combined location hits.
Okay, so Hank's Handies went 5-0, I think, for the first half last year. Now he was running clans, but I think he's going to have a good first half of the season as well. Both of these units are running Banshees, different Banshees, but Banshees. The Rangers have a Highlander with a heavy gauze, whereas the Hank's Handies have a Gunslinger with 2 gauze rifles. We see a Sentinel matching up against a Wolverine, and a modified champion up against a Thunderbolt. I am going to give this to Hank's Handies with a happy ending, with a 3-2 with a 4-2 victory.
Didn't want to copy Lee again?
No, I just think it's going to be more destruction than what Lee thinks.
I have to agree with that one. I think Hank's Handies is gonna just
Handle it.
spread the love. I will agree with Lee's score though. I'm gonna copy him. Hank's Handies 3-2.
That is the end of week 1's report and week 2's predictions. We're having a blast. We're having a lot of fun with these videos, a lot of laughter. Some of this is going to get edited out because we did a lot of laughing. But that's good. That means that we're enjoying the season, and hopefully you are too. We'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good night.
We're not done yet. I still have more to say.
About time.
No, it's not about time. It's about weekly standings.
It's not getting her to start talking that's the problem.
True.
Yeah, whatever. No, just like last year, we will be posting the weekly standings again, both on Facebook and Discord. And again, for bragging rights alone, Lee's going to be keeping track and posting Killer's Corner so everybody knows who has the supposedly most deadly mech. Darren supposedly had one last year, and I put Cocaine Bear down.
All right, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning in and listening to our show. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. We do appreciate everything that you do, and we definitely appreciate you telling your friends about our show. See if we can get more subscribers. And if there's anything that you want to see us include or have any questions, please feel free to use the comment section. We'll be happy to answer anything that you put in there.
Night, bye.
Bye!
Coming at you like a shot to the cockpit.